Entrepreneurship, a very important concept. Entrepreneurship runs in the DNA of Latinos. There are more than 9 million Hispanic-owned businesses in the US, and that is because the Latino community is highly entrepreneurial. Entrepreneurs are those who envision the future, create opportunities, fortify the economy. This year, the 2020 San Francisco Maestro Award in the category of entrepreneurship is presented to George Pla.
Good evening. My name is Jose Feliciano, one of the founders and managing partner of Clear Lake Capital Group. Clear Lake is an investment firm based in Santa Monica with about $25 billion of assets under management. We're also a sponsor of tonight's edition of the Maestro Awards and proud supporters of Latino Leaders. Today, I'm very pleased to present to you the recipient of the Entrepreneurship Award, George Pla. George is the CEO and president of Cordoba Corporation. Cordoba is a full-service civil engineering and construction firm based in California and ranked as one of the top 100 firms in the US in its segment, infrastructure. But going back to George, he's not only a very successful entrepreneur, but he's also a dedicated philanthropist, oftentimes focusing on how to enhance California communities. He's a Regent Emeritus at Loyola Marymount University. He's a board director member of the Catalina Island Conservancy, and he's also a trustee of the California Science Center Foundation. Without further ado, here's George, our recipient.
Hi, I'm Eloy Ortiz Oakley, Chancellor of the California Community Colleges. It's a pleasure to be with you today on this virtual Maestros Award, and I'm here to celebrate the accomplishments of Mr. George Pla. George is a friend, a colleague, and a mentor, and more importantly, I enjoy the position I am today because of Latino leaders like George Pla. So George, thank you. Congratulations on this great accomplishment. Congratulations to your family and to the entire Cordoba team. Great job and enjoy this award.
It's a typical American story of, this is a land of immigrants. And we immigrated from Mexico and came here to this country, always, for a better life, to work, nothing else, despite what's being said nationally. We come here to work and provide for our families. And I think that was common in the 50s, 60s, and it is today. We came here to a community called Boyle Heights, which is the Ellis Island of Los Angeles. Interestingly enough, it was Latino, Jewish, Japanese, Black. And you didn't know any different. When you went to someone's house, you knew that you took your shoes off. When you went to another house, you tapped the doorway. And the foods that you got were just beautiful. And I just think it's a beautiful American story of parents trying to make a better living. And first generation. And of course, the opportunity to be educated. Then the public schools were good. And I'm a product of the public schools and proud of it. The work ethic is enormous. Work. You were honored if you went to work. Oh, fue el trabajo. I mean, it was an honor to do that. And so the work ethic was enormous, number one. And number two, it truly, this is corny, but it's truly a land of opportunity if you make it so. And I think the data shows that immigrants do very well because there's so much opportunity. You can go to a trade school, you can go to community college, you can go to state college, a private university. You can get a trade in welding or any of that. And just the opportunities are huge. In California, the economy is very diverse, so you can pick a lot of different areas to be a part of. I can't imagine why you can't be successful here. I've never understood that. There's just something very powerful about something you create, being your own boss, being independent. Obviously is a risk. Some people would be afraid of it. Others, some people kid about me. He doesn't know any better. He just does it. And truth be told, my mother was quite the entrepreneur. And I think that I learned from her to be independent, to take risk, and to be your own boss. I think that started very early with me. I'm a product of the 70s, which obviously followed the 60s, Vietnam War, civil rights, Dr. King, Cesar Chavez. And our generation was about, what are you going to do about it? There was protest. But now what? What's the solution? So I really was attracted to a sociology major that asked the questions, what are you going to do to make this change? And one of the things that stuck with me is change it from within, not from without. And so my undergrad is sociology, proud of it. A lot of people think I'm an engineer, I'm not. And then my master's is in public policy. And so public policy is about, well, what policies relative to energy and infrastructure and water and schools, what are those policies that really affect our communities? Really interested me there. And what followed, without going through a resume, is Governor Jerry Brown, a very visionary progressive leader, well documented, was governor of California, and he asked me to be his director of business and economic development, now known as Department of Commerce. But I want to tell you, I was all of 28 years old. But then the governor was 36. And so he asked me to join him. And it was just an enormous experience to understand the state of California, the fifth largest economy in the world, understand the different sectors, the agriculture, tourism, technology, finance, the differences between Northern California, Central Valley, Southern California. Enormous perspective and experience. I'm very grateful for that. And that really began to fashion an idea of Cordoba Corporation, which would address the infrastructure needs of the state. At the time, there was about 24 million people in the state, knowing that it was going to 36, 40, and very soon 50 million people. A country in itself. But the infrastructure didn't meet that population. And I just saw that Cordoba Corp could meet that need. And that's what we've been doing for over 30 years. We first started as an urban planning firm that would create plans in transit, in water, in schools. And a lot of people will say about, vision. I don't believe that you can envision anything for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. They evolve. So we started as an urban planning firm. We evolved to a design firm, engineering, and then construction management, program management. And so it evolved in a way that really began to address the needs of California. And one sector led to another. We started in transportation, and then it went to schools. Then it went to energy and water, all within infrastructure. And it was the evolution of the needs of California. And that's what Cordoba really represents. Some people call me Mr. Cordoba or Cordoba as the correct pronunciation. And they ask me what it means. And I wanted a Latino sounding name where people would know that it was, but it also represented excellence. And I just made up the word to signify that. Could have been George Pla and Associates. Didn't want that. I wanted to have its own identity and that it would be Latino owned. Now, having said that, out of our more than 400 employees, we look like America. The coalition is made up of everyone that represents what California looks like, all ethnicities. And I think that was always the dream that I had. Typically in the company, after 30-some years and a lot of success, and we're blessed, the idea is to retire and go into the sunset and or sell and or merge and or go public. I'm not interested in any of that. I have said they're going to have to carry me out. I'm not selling, I'm not retiring. I think the needs are so great that this company can continue to grow and continue forward well beyond my own lifetime. In no way do I think I'm Steve Jobs or Walt Disney, but those organizations have continued on. So when you have a strong culture like they do, and I think we do, there's no reason why it can't go forward. Now, there's other things you can do that go along with that. I've written a book called Power Shift, that documents the development of Latino community in California. I think that's a story that needs to be told for all communities. It's an American story. We are in the midst of, and it went very well, book one. We're writing Power Shift 2 that talks about current leaders given the issues at hand today coming out of Washington and all the issues, negative and positive, that are going on. Power Shift 2 is going to document that for the benefit of students to know their history and know their issues. That did not exist. There's legislation in California mandating ethnic studies in the curriculum. It did not exist. What did kids study? George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. But who else made an impact? In all communities, African American, Latino, Asian communities. I think that we can do things that supplement and reinforce those messages for our young people and for the future. What does that have to do with Cordoba? It's part and parcel of the culture that we create, that we have a day job that includes making a difference where you live and where you work. Well, I think fundamentally from day one was the love of your family and raising your children and your grandchildren and great-grandchildren. We've been very blessed. Everybody's healthy. It's a great joy when you go home every day. I think I have an enormous balance in my life of work and home, number one, and I enjoy that immensely. I love to read. I love the ocean. I love sports. And people, I think, generally think that you must be a workaholic. And the fact of the matter is I'm home for dinner every night. I don't work on the weekends. But I do get up early at 4 o'clock every morning and start early. Enjoy that very, very, very much. And so I have a very good balance of work life that I think people maybe realize too late in life. I'm very fortunate that I realized it early on, and I practiced that. In terms of the bucket list, I think that the second book we're working on, which is going to be followed by a documentary of this, is an American story that can be a national story. We're going to do that. We have a third book coming that'll be on national politics as well. So it's a trilogy that we're working on, and I think it's important work, but it's a lot of fun to do. And then we have an institute at Cal State Los Angeles, a public policy institute, that we are beginning to create that probably will open at the end of next year. And again, I don't see it as silos, the book, the institute, Cordoba. To me, they're all one and the same. And that is within the realm of public and private areas that affect people's lives. It might be real corny or maybe presumptuous, but it's something that I've enjoyed my entire career.
Congratulations. It is my pleasure to give you this.
Thank you very much.
And now, please.
Well, this is a great honor for me. I think it's a recognition of a lot of work by a lot of people. I don't know why I get to want to accept this award. It's making me emotional because it's a national award, and I appreciate very much to be a recipient of this.